Namaste. This is the first of two 90-minute yin yoga sequences. In this one we're going to focus on the lower body, and in the second we'll be focusing on the upper body. Now the reason I've done this is that I wanted us to have the opportunity to spend a little bit more time in each of the postures, but also to spend quite a bit more time in the rebound in between each of the postures. So for each of the postures we're going to be there for probably around 4 to 8 minutes, and for the rebound typically around about 3 minutes. A little bit more time in the rebound gives us the opportunity to start introspecting a bit more, turning our senses inward and listening to our response to the postures and the posture that we've just completed. Once we start listening, we can start learning to interpret those sensations. And once we start learning, we can start actually understanding how we're responding, and understanding more about ourselves. So be patient, be kind to yourself during the practice. Remember, with yin yoga we're working with relaxed muscles, and we're targeting specific areas of connective tissue around muscle groups. And we'll identify those for each of the postures as we work through this practice. So relax and enjoy the sequence. If you have a bolster, block and blanket to hand, you might find these useful. If not, they're not essential. So we're going to start the practice with some breathing. Just a couple of minutes of breathing to bring us back to our centre, a little bit more inwardly focused. So sitting upright, you might want to sit on a block. Straighten the spine. You can have the eyes open or closed. Some people find it useful just to bring the eyes to a close. And we're just going to breathe normally, just gently inhaling through the nostrils and exhaling back out through the nostrils. We're not trying to control the breath. It's more about just becoming aware of the breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Taking our awareness to each breath as we breathe in. Maybe our awareness is drawn to the nostrils, back of the throat, into the lungs. And as we exhale, lungs, throat, nostrils. Just feeling the air moving over the nostrils as you breathe in and out. And just gently now, if you've had your eyes closed, just blinking them open gently, looking at the mat. Getting ready for our first posture, where we'll be focusing on the glutes. So a large muscle group. Moving into our position, we've got a couple of ways of doing the glutes, but today we're going to start with taking our left leg behind us, bringing the right leg up in front. Now the right leg, the knee bent, the foot can be placed wherever is comfortable for you. Looking forward. So supporting ourselves with our hands here. Just getting comfortable in the posture to start with. Finding that first edge. The edge is the point of first resistance. So we're going to feel that point of resistance in the glute. And as we find that, perhaps on the next breath in, we pause. And as we exhale, releasing, relaxing the muscle around the glute. Relaxing the muscle around the glute, maybe the top of the thigh. Maybe another breath and relax. As we relax that muscle, we're going to find that the edge has probably moved away from us a little bit, and that the posture is opening up. So if that's the case, we can start to follow that edge a little bit deeper into the posture. Now we're all different, so the depth we go to is going to be different. So just start listening to the body. Maybe following that edge as it gradually moves away as the posture opens up. You may want to support yourself here, maybe you need a bolster just to support yourself here. Otherwise, just support yourself on your elbows. And maybe exhaling, relaxing a little bit more. Then we start to find stillness wherever we are. Maybe we bring our head towards the mat. And then in that stillness, we don't want a rigid, stiff stillness. We want a calm, comfortable stillness that allows us to follow that edge, whether that's deeper into the posture or whether sometimes we need to just back off a little bit. So calm stillness. Inhaling and exhaling. And in that stillness, we can explore. We've got a stillness in the mind and the body. We can explore the connective tissue stress that we're feeling in the right glute. Maybe that's extending across to the top of the left leg, just the inner thigh there. Maybe also extending down the outside of the right leg. Maybe extending up to the right hand side of the spine. Just becoming aware of all those physical sensations in the connective tissue. That stillness we can also explore here, the healthy stress on the bones and the joints, toes, ankle, knee, femur, pelvis, the hip joint. All getting a healthy level of stress. Healthy level of stress is what we need in the connective tissue and the bones. Helps the bones regenerate, helps the connective tissue stay supple and responsive. just continue to hold here for a short while longer. Turning our senses or attention inward and starting to listen. Listen perhaps for more subtle, non-physical responses or sensations. Perhaps there's an energetic sensation there. Perhaps there's even an emotional reaction to the posture. So very gently now, just taking our time to come out of the posture on this side and moving to the other side. So we're going to take that right leg back behind us, extend it out behind us. We're going to bring this left leg in front, bend the knee, and again just placing the foot as it suits us today, supporting ourselves on our hands while we settle into the posture. Just starting to find that edge. Just adjusting as we need to. Finding that edge, that first point of resistance. Once we've found that, maybe next inhale. And as we exhale, just relaxing the muscle in the glute area, so the muscles just in this area around here. It's a relatively large muscle group, so we may need to try that a couple of times, inhaling and exhaling, relaxing. Feeling those muscles relax. As they relax, maybe that edge is moving away from us a little bit, just opening up the posture. And maybe that's a bit of an invitation to follow that edge in. We always want to follow the edge, we never want to lead it. If we try and lead the edge, or get ahead of the edge, that's when we face the risk of injury. So allow the edge to find its own way, and as it moves out, if we choose to, then we can follow it. Inhaling, exhaling. Maybe that edge moves a little bit more, coming forward. Maybe, as I said, on the other side, you want to put a bolster across the front here to support yourself. Or some people even use a block to support the head. Entirely up to you. You can support your head with your hands. Just as long as you're still getting that healthy stress there. So once again here we find stillness. Stillness in the body and the mind. Soft, flexible stillness. Stillness that allows us to move deeper or withdraw a little bit from the posture if we need to. staying as we are, or if we're comfortable, coming forward more. Wherever we are with that stillness, just exploring the connective tissue stress in the left glute. Left glute, maybe coming down the outside of the left leg. Maybe coming up from the left glute, running up the left hand side of the spine, the back. As well as the stress in the connective tissue, we can also explore the stress, the healthy stress in the bones, toes, ankles, knees, femur, pelvis, hip joint. In yin we talk about stress rather than stretch, because the stress is what we need to keep the connective tissue and the bones healthy. Stretching may be what we do to achieve a healthy level of stress, but it's not the stretch itself. Sometimes we stress with compression, so that's why you'll hear me talk about stress more than stretch. And just continuing to hold here. Turning the attention inwards, senses inwards, listening. Listening perhaps for more subtle responses to the posture. Maybe an emotion. If it is, just let it come and observe. So again, moving gently out of the posture, maybe just walk the hands back. Always moving gently out of the postures because we've been in there for some time, so our body may be a little bit fragile. And what we're doing there, we're going to come back onto our back. We can either lie down or we can support ourselves here on our elbows. Entirely up to you. For our rebound. In the rebound, we're starting to again try and listen to understand what the after effects of the posture we've just been in are. So we take our attention to the target area we've been working with. So here we take our attention to the glutes. And see if we can sense that there has been a change. So the first stage is to identify if there is a different sensation in that target area. And then we move to consider what it is. How would we describe it? Is it a vibration? Is it a wave? Does it feel hot? Does it feel cold? Maybe it's more than one of those things. Is it static or is it moving? Perhaps it started in the glutes and it's now moved down the legs towards the feet. Maybe it's moved to other parts of the body. Often it helps to do the rebound with the eyes closed. It just increases the sensitivity that we have to the responses or the sensations that we're trying to identify. Last few breaths here. Again, if you're lying on your mat, coming back up to seated posture. So our next target area will be the groin, so the area just on the inside of the thighs here. And the way we're going to do that, or target that area, is by sitting back on our mat, spreading our legs so we've got a good 90-degree angle there, or as far as you're comfortable. Again, just settling into the posture. First stage will be finding that edge. So we're going to fold the body forward. As we fold the body forward, we'll get to that edge, that first point of resistance. We'll feel the sensation in the groin here. Now the back, you can keep the back straight, or you can allow it to fold forward, get a bit of a bend in the back there. The area we're working with, so the area we're focused on is the groin. Again, we just find that edge. When we've found that edge, we're going to pause. Inhale and exhale. As we exhale, relaxing, releasing the muscles in the groin, and also those up around the hips and the glute and the lower back. As we relax the muscle, we may find that edge move out, opening up the posture for us a little bit, maybe inviting us in a little bit deeper, and we can decide whether to take that opportunity or not. If you're finding that you're not really getting much of a sensation or much stress down the inside of the thighs, we can tilt the pelvis. And the easiest way of doing this is to look up, straighten the back, looking forward, and bring the torso forward again while keeping that straightness in the back. Equally, if you want less stress, just round the back a little bit. Again, here we find stillness. With our stillness we explore. Firstly, we explore the stress in the connective tissue coming up the inside of the thigh, between the knee and the hip. Sometimes hard to distinguish between the groin and the hamstring because they do run alongside each other in the thigh mandala. And we can also explore the healthy stress in the bones, So the knees, femur, pelvis and the hip joint. Maybe we've got a rounded back. Maybe we're feeling a little bit of a stretch up the back there. Again, our focus is very much the groin. As with all these postures, we don't just have to go deeper and deeper. If we find that it's a little bit too much at some stage, we can always just come out a little bit. Remember, we talked about flexible stillness, responding to the body. We continue to hold here. Turning our senses inward. Listening for more subtle, possibly non-physical responses or sensations. Maybe you can feel an energetic sensation moving between parts of the body. Maybe from the feet up through the legs. Or maybe being here brings some emotion to the fore. And with all of these sensations, just observe and note. A couple more breaths here. And slowly coming out of the posture, maybe just walking the hands back. Maybe helping the legs together with the hands. Getting ready for our rebound again. So either lying fully back on the mat or supporting ourselves here. Maybe bringing the eyes to a close. Help our concentration, sensitivity. Taking our attention to the groin, the target area we've just worked. Firstly, determining if we have a different sensation there. Can we feel something different in that area? And then working on how we might describe that in our own mind. Warm, cool, both perhaps. A wave pulsating. Maybe it's static in that area, maybe it's moved. Maybe it's still moving from the groin through the legs, through other parts of the body. Again, just observing what it is rather than trying to control it or change it. The rebound is really where we have to listen carefully to the very subtle responses. But it's where we also have the opportunity to really learn how we're responding to these postures at both a physical and subtle level. Gently coming out of our rebound, getting ready for our next posture. So the next target area is going to be the hamstrings, so at the back of the leg. And there are a few different ways that we can target the hamstrings. There's a couple of options. So some people are more comfortable just bringing the foot to the inside of the knee. So if we brought the left foot to the inside of the right knee, and then bringing the torso forward over the extended leg. That's one option. Another option, some people find it better to take the left leg back like this. So extend the left leg behind, bend the knee, and from here bring the torso forward over the right leg. So today I'm going to stay with this one, but you should use whichever you're most comfortable with today. So again, whichever option you've taken, we're going to start to find our edge. So maybe supporting ourselves with our hands here, facing forward. We're going to start to feel that stress at the back of the right hamstring. And then once we've found our edge, inhale, exhale and relax. So relax the muscle all up the back of the right leg, even the right glute. And as we relax the muscle, maybe that edge moves away from us, creating a bit of space for us to come forward, a little bit more depth in the posture. Forward as we comfortable. Again, here we can support ourselves with a bolster across our knee, or even a block to support the head. If you're comfortable, you might want to take the forehead to the knee, rest the chin on the knee, wherever you're comfortable. We find stillness. Stillness to explore the connective tissue stress all up the back of the right leg, from the heel right up the back of the right leg through the right glute, and maybe even continuing up through the right hand side of the back, thoracolumbar region. Explore the healthy stress on the bones, toes, ankle, knee, femur, pelvis and the hip joint. There may even be a little bit of flexion there on the spine if we've got a bit of a rounded straight spine. We do of course have the option, as we did in the groin posture, if we round the spine, we're probably going to relieve a little bit of stress on the back of the hamstring. If we tilt the pelvis, look up, look forward, tilt the pelvis, come forward again, we're probably going to get a little bit more stress on the back of the hamstring there. So again, working with what's appropriate for you and your body today. Holding here for a little while longer yet. Introspecting a bit, listening. In this posture we can listen even perhaps to an energetic response, stimulating one of the longest meridian or energy channel in the body, which runs all the way from the little toe to the heel, up the back of the calf, the back of the thigh, through the glute, right hand side of the spine, all the way up the back to the neck, over the top of the head, down the forehead and into the corner of the eye. So maybe as we inhale we can trace that. As we inhale we come little toe, heel, back of the calf, thigh, glute, back, neck, over the head, forehead, into the eye, and as we exhale, come all the way back down over the head, neck, back, glute, down the back of the leg. Again, just gently walk those hands back. Bring that left leg back if you're in that posture, or just bring both legs out in front of you. Maybe just a little wiggle there before we go to the opposite side. So taking the left leg straight forward, bringing the right leg back, or bringing the right foot onto the inside of the left thigh. Settling into the posture and starting to get comfortable, starting to work towards that edge. First point of resistance. Highly likely that it'll be different to the other side, so don't always assume that that edge is going to be the same on both sides. Find that edge. Inhale, and as we exhale, relax the muscle. Relax all the muscles in the left leg and the left glute. And again, inhale, exhale, relax the muscles. Maybe as we relax the muscles, that edge has moved. Opening it up, just inviting us in to follow in a bit more deeply. Equally, if we're comfortable staying up here, that's also fine. And prop ourselves with bolster if we want to, or we can go a little bit deeper. Following the edge, not leading. And coming to a point where we find a soft, flexible stillness across both the mind and the body. Stillness that allows us to explore that connective tissue, stress all the way up the back of the left leg, maybe even starting in the instep of the left foot, coming all the way up the back of the leg, through the glute area, maybe even coming all the way up the left-hand side of the spine, thoracolumbar area. Exploring again the healthy stress in the bones, toes, ankles, knees, femur, pelvis and the hip joint, all receiving a healthy dose of stress, useful in regenerating and strengthening the bones and joints. And just holding here for a while longer, inward facing, tuning into the responses from this posture. Maybe moving on from the physical responses we've just talked through. Maybe focusing our attention on more subtle responses. The energetic response that we experienced on the other side. We go into that little toe, the left little toe. And as we inhale, tracing that meridian line, the urinary bladder meridian line, the little toe to the heel, all the way up the back of the leg, through the glute, up the back, to the left of the spine, up through the neck, over the top of the head, front of the forehead, into the corner of the left eye. Maybe now tracing that as we inhale and exhale. So as we inhale, we start from the little toe, up the back of the leg, glute, up through the left hand side of the back, neck, over the top of the head, forehead, into the eye. Then as we exhale, back up over the forehead, back over the head, down the neck, down the back, through the glute, down the back of the leg to the little toe. And over time, as our sensitivity increases, we're going to find that we can sense the movement of an energy through that meridian line. Just a couple more breaths here. Gently going out of that posture, bringing both legs in front. Maybe a little wriggle there just to settle them in. And coming back into our rebound posture. So again, feel free to just lie flat on your mat for this, close the eyes, or support yourself like this on the elbows. Closing the eyes tends to increase the sensitivity of our perception in the rebound. So bringing our attention to the target area we've just worked with, the hamstrings. So what feels different? Does anything feel different in the target area? If it does, then how does it feel different? Is it warm? Is it cool? Does it pulse? Does it vibrate? Is it a static sensation? Does it feel like a liquid moving through the target area? Or does it feel more like an energetic movement? Maybe it's moved on entirely from the target area. Maybe it's moved down to the soles of the feet. Everyone will have a different response. Every time you do the practice, there will be a slightly different response. So tune into today's practice. And understand what today's response is. Always just observing rather than trying to control. Gently coming out of the rebound, ready for our next posture. So the next target area we're going to be working with is the hip flexors. So the area on the front of the leg here at the top. And the way that we're going to target that area is that we're going to come up onto all fours initially. We're going to bring the right foot forward. It doesn't have to be 90 degrees like this, but 90 degrees is a good place to start. Some people prefer to have legs out or in, but we'll start at 90 degrees. Hands on the mat in line with the foot. And the left leg extended back. So this is the target area here, the left hip flexor. We're going to find our edge here, point of first resistance. And once we've found it, we're going to inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to release the muscles around the target area. So we're going to release the hip flexor muscles, but also the muscles generally around the midriff, around the torso. As we relax those muscles, we may find that the edge has moved away from us a little bit, just opening up the posture. Maybe the groin is moving more towards the mat. There's a little more stress there in the hip flexor. What we don't want to feel here, however, is any pinching in this right hip. And if we have that, then one thing we can do is we can walk the hands to the left and turn the torso, and that may just alleviate a little bit of any pinching. And we can either stay here and just allow the stress in the hip flex to continue, or we can start to elevate our torso. We can bring our elbow onto our knee, elevating the torso. We can even take the left hand behind the back here, and that's going to open up this hip flexor just a little bit more. Staying here if we're comfortable. Or we can elevate the torso a little bit more, supporting ourselves with our hands on our knee. So starting to use the torso as a lever to increase the intensity of the stress here. We can take our hands behind us. We can even take our arms up and over. Again, so here now we're using our arms and torso as levers. And just staying at whatever stage you're comfortable. If we're comfortable in this posture, then we should stay here. But again, if we need a little bit more, then try one of those other options. Wherever we are, we find stillness. In our stillness, we start to explore the connective tissue stress in the hip flexor, maybe moving up from the hip flexor towards the obliques and the rectus abdominis, the stomach and the side of the body. And also the healthy stress in the bones, toes, ankles, knees, femur, pelvis, and the hip joints. All getting a good dose of healthy stress. Just continuing to hold here for a little while longer, giving us the opportunity to turn inward and really listen to the response to the posture. And gently taking the hands down to the mat. Swapping sides now, so we're just going to bring that right leg back onto all fours. Maybe a little bit of a stretch here. In between the sides. Before we take the left foot forward. Bringing the hands to the mat in line, taking the right leg back, foot extended. Starting to settle into the posture, working towards that edge. Once we fan that edge, just pausing for a moment, inhaling, and as we gently exhale, relaxing the muscles in the hip flexor region, also the muscles in the legs. We're really supporting ourselves on our arms at the moment, so we don't need any tension in the muscles of the legs. Maybe one more exhale, relax. Again, if you're finding that you've got any pinching here in the left hip, you may want to just walk those hands to the right hand side, twisting the torso away from that leg, and this may alleviate some of the pinching. And we can either stay here, or as an option we can come up supporting ourselves with our elbow on our knee, straight forward, allowing that hip flexor a little bit more stress with the groin moving towards the mat. Or we could even take the right arm behind us and just giving us a little bit of twist, a little bit of extra stress there in the hip flexor. Staying there, or maybe we elevate the torso a little bit more, supporting ourselves with our hands on our knee, or we take the hands behind the back, opening up the chest. Beautiful extension in the spine, or even taking the hands up over behind the head, increasing the extension in the spine, compression all the way down the back of the spine, even in the lumbar. Could even use our head to, position of our head to increase that a bit more. Just staying wherever we're comfortable. And wherever we are comfortable, we find stillness. Find that stillness that allows us to explore. Explore the connective tissue stress in the hip flexor, maybe extending up now to the stomach, the rectus abdominis, or the side muscles, the obliques. And also the healthy stress that we're applying to the bones and the joints, toes, ankles, knees, femur, pelvis, hip joint. Continuing to hold while we listen. Continuing that process of learning to listen. Listen to the more subtle responses that we have to these postures. Emotional or energetic. Gently taking the hands back down to the mat. Coming out of these postures slowly and carefully. The body can be quite fragile after we've spent an extended period of time in one posture. And coming onto our backs. So again, either lying down for rebound or supporting ourselves on our back with our elbows. Maybe drawing the eyes to a close to increase that sensitivity. Taking our attention to the hip flexors. Becoming aware of whether we feel that there's been a change in the sensation in that area. And if there has, what is its nature? How might we describe it to ourselves? Maybe that description changes as we sit here and rebound. Maybe it's warm one minute, cool the next. Maybe 1 minute it's still, the next minute it's moving. If it's moving, where has it moved to? Just listening and following and learning. Starting to learn the responses to these postures. Coming out of the rebound in your own time. So ready for our next posture. So the next posture we're going to work on, well, next couple of postures actually, we're going to work on the quads. So the area of the quad, so the area at the front of the thighs. The first postures we're going to do are going to be asymmetrical, so we're going to do one side then the other side, and then the next quad posture will be both. So starting with the one-sided or asymmetrical, we're going to take the left leg, just bend that behind us. Doesn't matter whether the foot's straight back or out to the side, whatever you're comfortable with. Distance between the knees again is up to you. The closer together they are, the more stress there will be on the knee joint. So I'd certainly suggest having them a comfortable distance apart, at least to start. And from here, we're going to work towards that edge, that first point of resistance. Now for some of us that may be here. We get a good amount of stress in the quad, maybe that's what we're comfortable with. Inhale, exhale, exhale, relax the muscle. So we want to relax the muscle of the left quad. And again, maybe that allows us to move a little bit more deeply into the posture. Maybe that edge has moved for us. Again, just checking in and making sure we have still got the muscle relaxed. Just moving with the edge. You may want to come down to the mat. You may prefer to have a bolster or a block behind you supporting you so that you can stay here and relax rather than supporting on the elbows. That's also fine. But wherever you are, again, we want to find that calm stillness. Flexible stillness that allows us to move in and out with our edge. So whether you're on the mat or supported on a bolster or up on the arms, doesn't matter. As long as you've got the sensation in the quad. For some of us, we may find that this is not enough to get a healthy stress on the quad. A couple of options here. We can bring that, bend the knee on the other leg, the right leg. And that may change things in this left quad. We can even drop that out to the side. And again, we can use our arms as levers by taking them over our head, holding onto the elbows or extended. So just try some of those options if you're finding that you need a bit more, and just settle with the one that works for you today. Wherever you are, just finding that stillness. With the stillness, just focusing on the connective tissue stress in the left quad. Be extending up from the quad to the hip flexor, stomach from the side, so maybe it's moving up from here, up through the leg, up through the stomach to the obliques. And also the healthy stress in the bones. Toes, ankles, knees, femur, pelvis, hip joint, maybe even a little compression there in the lumbar. Just holding here for a short time longer. Inward facing, listening. Listening to the more subtle messages. Coming out of the posture, so maybe just taking both legs forward. Going back to a seated position, we're just going to swap sides. So maybe just give the legs a little wiggle again. And then this time we're going to work on the right quad. So bending the right quad back as we did on the left side. Left leg extended. Settling into the posture. And starting to move towards that edge. Once we've got the edge, just pausing for a moment. Maybe gently inhaling, and as we gently exhale, Just relaxing the muscles around the quad in the right leg. Maybe one more time, inhale and exhale, relax. Maybe that relaxation is moving the edge out a little bit, just allowing us to move a little bit deeper into the posture. So again, remembering the options here, we can support ourselves with our elbows here. We can place a bolster behind our back. Or if we wish, we can move to the mat. Again, when we're on the mat, just checking in, making sure we do have that muscle relaxed. And if we need a little bit more, maybe taking the arms over the head. Maybe bending that left leg, leaving it up here, or allowing it to drop out to the side. Whatever combination is working for you today. It may be different to what it was the last time I did this. And it may be very different to how it is on the other side. Finding stillness. Stillness across the mind and the body. Calm, flexible stillness. Allowing us to move in and out with the edge. Also allowing us to focus on the connective tissue stress in that right quad. Extend up through the right quad, up through the hip flexor. May come up to the stomach, the rectus abdominis, or even to the side muscles, the obliques. Also focusing on the healthy stress in the bones, toes, ankles, knees, femur, pelvis, hip joint. Maybe even a little bit of compression on the lumbar at the base of the spine, the lumbar and the sacrum. Hold on for a little longer here. And just really listening in this final minute, just really turning our concentration to listening. Listening for the subtle responses to the posture. Be an emotional response. Maybe something coming up. Just watch it come up, let it go. Gently coming out of this posture, extending both legs in front, coming to lying on the back, maybe supporting ourselves with our elbow. Maybe bringing those eyes closed. Taking the intention straight to the quads. We work the quads individually, but we work them both. But maybe because we work them individually, maybe our first stop here should be not only is there a different sensation now in the quads to there was before the posture, but is there a different sensation in each side? If it is different, how is it different? Is it more intense, or is it completely different? Maybe one's hot, one's cold. Maybe in one leg it's static, in the other leg it's moved down to the foot. Maybe in both legs it's moving up and down the legs. Tune into your body and describe to yourself. What the after effects of the last posture are. Learn to understand what it is that your body is saying to you about this posture and this practice. Gently coming out of the rebound, ready for our second posture on quads. We're going to do both of the quads together here, so single posture, both sides. So to do this, we're going to come onto our knees and sit back. Now our options here, we can either sit back onto our ankles. A few of us, with you who are more flexible, may be able to sit between the ankles, but a lot of us are going to find that we need to sit on the heels of our feet. Again, the position of the knees, I would start with them a comfortable distance apart. The more you bring them together, the more stress there's going to be on the knees. So comfortable distance apart, sitting on the ankles, and then we're just going to come back. We're going to lean back, supporting ourselves with our arms initially, and we're going to find that edge. That edge, that first point of resistance. We're going to feel it in the quads. And then when we've found that edge, we're just going to inhale. As we exhale, we're going to relax the quads. And again, in fact, we're going to relax the quads and all the muscles in the legs. Now, for some of us, this may be quite enough. For others, as we relax the quads, we may find that that edge has moved and that we're quite comfortable to come back a little bit further, sink a little bit deeper into the posture. And again, we can support ourselves on our elbows here, or we're going to be here for a while, we probably want to relax a bit more. We could get a bolster behind us here to support us. And we'll probably put the bolster lengthways so that we can lie back on it. If we do it lengthways, we can support the head on the bolster as well. Again, whatever works with you today. You may begin to feel some compression at the base of the spine here in the lumbar, and that's okay, so long as we don't feel any pinching. But again, just be aware. As an option, we can obviously come further down. We can come back down onto the mat. And for those of us where this is still not giving us enough of a stress in the quads, you can extend the arms over the head. Again, using the arms as levers to increase the intensity in the target area. But wherever we are, if we're back on the mat, if we're on a bolster, or we're supporting ourselves where we started on our hands, just find that stillness. Find that soft stillness across the body and the mind. And use that stillness to explore the connective tissue stress in the quads. Both quads. Maybe it's extending up from the quad, up through the front of the thigh, the hip flexor, through the hip flexor, up into the lower part of the stomach, the rectus abdominis, maybe even into the sides of the body. You can also explore the healthy stress in the bones and the joints, toes, ankles, knees, femur, pelvis, hip joints. But also particularly in this posture where we're doing both quad sides together, we may feel some compression in the base of the spine, in the lumbar, between the lumbar and the sacrum. Very healthy to experience some compression in that part of the spine. There aren't many postures that can give us that compression. Compression helps us regenerate and strengthen the bones and the discs in that area. If we're lying fully back on the mat, we'll have a nice extension to the whole spine actually. We're extending the spine from the lumbar up through the thoracic. The posture gently. Now if we're fully back on the mat, we probably just want to take our leg out to the side and then extend both legs forward. Coming into our rebound, so maybe just a shake of the legs before we settle back lying on the mat or supported. Maybe closing our eyes to increase that sensitivity. And taking our attention again to the quads. As we do in all of our rebounds, taking our attention to the target area we've just worked with. And asking ourselves what's changed. Is there a different sensation in the quads now to there was before the last posture? If there is, what is the nature of that change? How would we describe that sensation? Is it a constant sensation? Is it changing? Is it moving? Is it fluid or energetic? Does it pulse? Is it warm? Is it cool? Just listening. So if you're already lying on your back, I want you to stay where you are. If you are supported like me, just lower the back onto the mat for our final posture, the Shavasana. Place the arms and the legs in a position that's comfortable for you, completely relaxed. Gently draw the eyes to a close. Maybe start to focus on the breath, like we did at the start of the practice. Maybe noticing how that breath has changed. How it's changed in the 90 minutes since the start of the practice. So again, a few breaths, just focusing on the movement of the breath into the body. And then out of the body as we exhale. Maybe noticing the movement of the stomach and the chest as we breathe. Not trying to control anything, just observing. Maybe also now just taking our mind back to the sequence. Recalling some of the sensations, particularly those that we've had during the extended rebounds we've enjoyed. We worked firstly with the glutes, then the groin, hamstrings, and the hip flexors. And finally the quads. So maybe just check into all of those areas. Individually and collectively. maybe collectively. Just listen. Just listen to the response from those areas that we've worked with. Very gently now, returning. Maybe wiggle the fingers and toes. In your own time, just rolling to one side. Pushing yourself up onto one elbow. And just briefly coming back to seated position. Not rushing off anywhere, just take a couple of moments, a few breaths, just to come back round to the world. Hopefully you enjoyed that practice. Namaste. Please try part 2 for the upper body.